Good evening, or afternoon, or morning. Who knows where people are? I'm here today with my newest friend, Mystic, Wizard, Intuitive Healer, Gordy, or on the screen, HG Traverser. That is his Instagram name. Say hi.
Howdy. Thank you for having me, Ann.
Yeah, we're
This is
just
cool.
we're just here hanging out. It's not He didn't write a book. He's not selling his website. A lot of the guests have something that they've come on to share, but he's just sharing himself with us because he's cool. So, um, how did you how did you come into the world of like mysticism where you realize this is your calling? I'm a healer. I'm a
Um, okay, so this is actually a great question. I'm glad
mm,
went here first because I think I was introduced to these kinds of ideas by my father-in-law, who gave me a um, Franz Barden book, which was probably one of the Intro to Hermetics or something like that, years,
mm,
many, many years ago. And I think it was probably then that I was introduced into the like mystic arts or whatever, just as ideas, and just as an idea of a possible spiritual path, because I've always
mm,
been a seeker and trying to look deeper. Growing up as a in a conservative Christian family, like most of us in America probably have.
mm. Yep.
um there was always those I always felt like there was those limits, like there was always something greater out there that we weren't able to talk about or reach for, or things we were ideas that we were shamed for,
Right.
and so uh once I kind of well I can go into this deeper with my story, but once I got clean of a lot of things and really got serious about my spiritual walk, more than just my Christian upbringing.
Hmm.
Whereas, like, nature really talked to me, and I really dug into that um, purposely. That that was what really solidified. Like, this is the path. Like,
Right.
this is where uh, all of this has been leading to. You know, um, I've always been drawn to nature. My family were uh, part of my family were ranchers, and I have sisters that were always, animal nuts, and I was too. But
Mm.
uh, when okay, I'll just go back. In 2014, I was diagnosed with a pituitary adenoma. It's a brain tumor that's between your frontal
Mm.
lobe and your pituitary gland. It's kind of like bisects, like your eyes and like your cheekbone,
Wow.
right in the
Yeah.
center, right. And I was having all sorts of hormonal problems, and it was, you know, debilitating and depressing. Your my hormones were just going up and down and just
Oh yeah.
completely unregulated, and I was gaining so much weight, and I was just
Mm.
completely depressed. From 2014 to 2016, I was essentially um, addicted to. I had chronic pain from a broken neck, compounded with this
Oh my
brain
god.
tumor that was fucking up my mental health. Basically, my
Mm.
I was suicidally depressed, and by 2016, I was drinking myself to death and using prescription opiates to a point where I was ready to clock out,
Wow.
and I asked for help. I was put in a mental institution for a week. Went to detox for another week after that, and then went to a rehab. And it was essentially, it was either you were gonna, I was gonna die anyway, so I might
Right.
as well, you know, try try everything, unless, do it or die trying,
Right. Why not? I
so why
know.
not? What
Yeah.
Those were the only options.
Mm.
So, because I wasn't gonna get the brain surgery that they wanted to do. I had watched, I'd, you know what? One of the things that really made me decide not to do the brain surgery was that glint in the surgeon's eye when he was like got all excited about doing the surgery. I was like,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, and then we're gonna go up your nose, and then we're
Uh,
gonna drill into the thing, and then we have to break your skull and go back into the. And I'm
yeah,
like,
no.
uh,
Mm-mm. Like you
no
seem too
thanks.
happy about this. Yeah, no. I'm
Yeah,
good.
exactly. That was a little scary. And then
Yeah.
I went online and watched the surgery. I'm like, fuck no.
No.
So then,
Get it.
um, so I went to rehab at the end of 2018. I came home back to the desert in Arizona, and uh, it was just everything was falling apart. My health
Mm.
had died. Um, my was almost oblivion. I was trying to hold on to all these things, and um, luckily, I still had a job that was supporting me at the time until I got to a certain point.
Mm.
Um, but at any rate, I did. I got clean. But what helped me was meditation. I started fasting first of all,
Mm.
fasting and
Right.
meditating.
Mm-hmm. I've
Um,
heard that combination is powerful.
very powerful. But the situation was that I was able to do it I found a tree that had a family of owls in it,
Wow.
family of great horned owls. And and I'm like, okay, the Dalai Lama said if you can meditate with on a freeway, then you can, move mountains or whatever. So I'm like, okay, if I can do this with this, and these owls they're big and they're very threatening. Um, and it was scary as hell. They would sit there and watch you as I was
Wow.
sitting under this tree, and felt like, okay, if I can do this with these guys, essentially threatening me every second there, um, I can do anything, right? So
Mm.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fast for 3 days and at a time, and just meditate
Right.
every single morning,
And well,
and
let's
just
throw in a disclaimer there. Like, don't just go fasting because we said so here.
oh yeah,
Pay
no,
attention to, your doctor and medical rules. Don't just fast because we here at Unexplained Realm said so. Don't do it.
well,
Yeah, I
you know,
get it. But
I'm not saying to do any of this. I'm saying
right,
just this is what I did.
right.
This
And I
was what
think that
happened.
with the proper like thought process regimen and being very careful, fasting is very powerful. I've done it myself. So
Yeah, and
good.
I was under care of like 6 doctors, which were actually telling me terrible, terrible advice
Oh, I
at the
bet.
time. I found
Mm.
later, because they were just throwing drugs at me for the
Of
last
course.
10 years.
Yep. I
And
I suffer from a disease, a degenerative disease, and it's progressively becoming worse. Um,
mm,
and all they want to do is throw medication, and I refuse. I'm just gonna keep. I told someone recently, keep powering through, screeching, skidding. When I leave, my body will probably be destroyed, but it's fine. I lived a full life,
mm.
so. But yeah, I get it. Medication is what everybody, um, doctors. That's what they rely heavily on these days.
And getting through that, I know that feeling of the extreme pain or the chronic pain,
Mm-hmm.
and the detoxing from that is even more painful than the chronic pain that you had.
Mm-hmm.
That, one of the things that helped me a lot was learning in rehab. I read a couple books that were very, I think one of them was a pain book. I can't remember which one it was, but The Body Keeps the Score, which is how trauma in our lives, like really embodies in our, actually manifests physically in our body at a certain point, and learning that hyperanalgesia is a real thing where the meds actually create more pain in the end,
Mm,
and they're actually work against us at some point. It feels like they're they treat us for a little while, but it actually at a certain point starts working against us. And then we have to, like, you, and you fight with these doctors where they, okay, well, we'll take you off this one and we'll put you on this one. And I had a team of 4 or 5 doctors, coming in and out at a time, so I
yeah,
know that struggle.
yeah. But
It's
to
tough.
find like meditation and coping mechanisms is key. And I think that people like us who've struggled through those battles and healed ourselves, we truly are walking healers. I really don't like to identify like that, but I think you get it. Like we're healers. We
Yeah,
have something to share with others.
it's uncomfortable though, just those
It
words,
is.
even like
I know.
saying it, like makes me,
It's
or kind
weird.
of like,
I know. Like, how are people going to receive that? I keep bringing this up in every show I have a guest because it's just something here. Um, someone said one time to me, I wish I could meet an alien. And I said, how do you know you haven't? Just because the person that's telling you I'm an alien or I come from Mars and you're like, oh my God, you need medication, what if
mhm.
they really are telling the truth? So, same thing for us is if we were to identify as a healer, people might go, oh, what? You're weird. Like, why would you say that? So, it's hard to give that title. But I do think that people like us in our situations have something to share with those that are struggling. So yeah, I guess that would be sort of a definition of a healer. Sort of.
Yeah, like, in NA or AA, they say, if you don't share it, you're not healing, you're not doing it. You're not,
Right.
um, and like my friend Lindsay always says, hey, heal yourself, heal the world. And this is
Hmm.
what we're doing. Um, at least trying to, I'm not going to say that I have all the answers, because
No.
everybody's path
Yeah.
is going to be completely different from mine. In fact, I
Mm,
purposely say, don't do what I do. I'm just saying what I've done, and you can take it or leave it.
right.
And it's kind of um, like being called psychic, or, if you've
Hmm.
called something out and you nailed it, somebody's going to call you psychic, and the other person's going to call you an asshole.
Right. Or you
You
just
know,
guessed. You're dumb. Yeah.
oh yeah, or you
Yeah.
just guessed, lucky guess. Like,
Right.
you know,
And like going back to what you said, healing others. It's not about how do I put this? What I'm saying is the Almighty, no one else is right. There's no one size fits all for anybody, like everybody's going through their own. So to come on the internet or anywhere and give like advice and say, this is it, this is how you have to handle it, or whatever you're going through, it's wrong. I see it too many times too. You can't
yeah,
prescribe a one size fits all. So again, like you said, we're not saying anything that you have to listen to exactly how you healed yourself is how everybody needs to. Um, I think when we do projects, art projects or building, one tool might work for someone, but it might not work for another. So
hmm,
yeah.
yeah. When I when I got off of when I finally got off and did the started meditating and fasted, I changed my diet completely as well. Um, I got off of I hard got off hard off wheat and sugar and
Mm.
soy. I looked at everything, examined everything that I was eating, threw out the stuff junk in the house that I knew was processed, and started making every single meal, which was a full-time job, and I
Trust
know
me,
that people, yeah,
I
uh, and it's hard. I know that's hard,
know. Hmm.
and it takes so much time. But that was the point I was at. I was told this other my friend Kieran that, getting taking care of yourself is a full-time job at a certain point. When you're at that point of do or die, where the choices are made for you or taken away from you,
Mm,
where your health has suffered to a point where you can't take care of anybody else in your life. You
right.
have to take care, you're forced to only take care of yourself. That's your full-time job, is I've got to heal, I've got to do the work or die trying.
Hmm.
And um that's the choice, do it or die. And I think at a certain point, I mean, not everybody has to come to that point in their lives, but many of us do. And those of us with chronic health issues uh, or addictions or
Hmm.
mental health struggles, which that those diet fixing your diet helps a lot of those things,
Your diet can lead to those mental health issues.
right?
Like, I don't want to get too much into detail, but at one point in my life, I was pregnant, didn't know it, and I
Mm,
thought I'm just gaining weight, so I wasn't eating as much, and I started having these weird thoughts and feelings about, oh my god, I'm not worthy, or then come to find out I was pregnant. But you know, the diet, just not eating in itself or not eating the proper nutrients, leads you to a dark place in your head. It's
mhm.
strange, but yeah. So
And they can prove now that a high sugar, high carb diet actually can turn into diabetes 3. They're calling it, which is
I've read
essentially
that.
Alzheimer's.
Yep,
It's the
it
same
affects the
thing.
brain. I've been reading that. I'm actually diabetic, so
Mm,
I've been most of my life, and well, basically all my life, but not diagnosed in my teens, late teens. So yeah, no, I read recently, and that's terrifying to know that it hits the brain. Type 3.
once you get off it too, or you're able to find a sort of equilibrium, you can tell. Um, I've noticed that at a certain point, you know, my mental focus like almost doubled after uh, just the first 3-day fast. Once you hit the third day, there's a euphoria, and this is like a mental, it's a chemistry thing that happens to everybody when they fast. But
Mm,
also when because you come back and then you have to find your way back to another uh, balance.
right.
Um, but once you kind of work it out in your carbs versus proteins, or because people say, oh, you got to do keto, oh, you got to do carnivore, which
Mm,
all of that actually has a lot of merit, because going to a high fat, high protein diet and eliminating all carbs for a while will reset your system, and then you can kind of reintroduce those things. At least that's how I experienced
right.
it. Um,
Right.
so I don't do straight carnivore, I don't do straight keto, but I do a lot
A
more
balance.
high fats and uh, as little processed foods as possible.
So
Um,
basically, you eat like me. See, I told you he was my new friend. As a diabetic, I eat very little to no carbs, but I try to find a balance. I don't want to just eat meats because obviously cholesterol, heart disease, red meat.
yeah.
So you just got to find that balance, and that's kind of how I eat. Adding a little bit of all of things in there: meat, vegetables, but definitely no starch processed food. I cook a lot. So
Hmm.
I meal prep a lot for my family, and they always have something ready to go because I that's how I have to live. So they're gonna just do it too. So it's
Good for
healthy.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started a Telegram channel called the Culinary Alchemy, just
Oh,
for myself, just to be able to share, hey, this is what I did, and just kind of document it. And a lot of those in the early the early year that I started it, I haven't kept up in that group. I pop in every once in a while now, but
Mm.
um, I was I would purposely throw in a song with um, with the recipe because I wanted to, remind myself that cooking is a spell.
It is really,
It
yeah.
is a healing spell for
Mhm.
myself, for my family. When I know that I am singing um, good intentions into that food, I know it's going to be better for me. I know it's going to be
Well, yeah, it's them.
better for my family as well. And it turned out to be, it, it has helped me in my process of learning. I never thought of myself as a, kitchen witch, which is, but essentially what it is.
Mhm.
Um, uh, but doing that practice it's just intentionality. It's intention. When you're doing anything, do anything, everything with intentionality. Intention everything. When you're driving your car, when you're eating, making coffee in the morning. Um, One of the things that helped me a lot was recognizing the rituals that I already had that are either beneficial to me or negative, affecting me negatively.
Mhm.
And I was going to do coffee in the morning no matter what.
Right.
Um, I mean, I'm American. I'm not, you know, I'm
Right.
I'm doing coffee in the morning.
I know.
One is
I do too. I think
kick
coffee probably is the lesser of the evils out there, you know?
right, of course. I mean, one addiction at a time. Once
Yeah.
you kick alcohol, it's like, okay, I
Mhm.
gotta, I gotta do these opiates. Kick that one. All right, I gotta do sugar. Okay, kick that one. One thing at a time, and that none of them are easy. I'm not,
No.
I'm not gonna say any of these are just, you just kick them. You know,
Mhm.
it's a process. One thing at a time, and even like poor relationship uh, struggles. That these patterns that we get into of dealing with
Mhm.
people poorly, and
Right.
those are addictions too. The way we treat people, the way we treat our jobs, the
I
value that
agree.
we give
Mhm.
to our groups and our friendships and our
Mhm.
religion, our AA is an addiction to people. I've watched it
I
over and
think so
over again.
too. Yeah. I think that it's fantastic when people need it, but I think that
Hmm.
sometimes it becomes a crutch. Instead of, how do I put this? I always stumble over words sometimes, but I think, like we talked about, doctors prescribing medicines just to get rid of something. Um, we prescribe AA to get past, alcoholism. None of us really address the root issue. Medication to
Right.
mask symptoms, AA to help you get through the day. What is the root cause of why you want to drink? When I was a little younger, I loved to drink and go hang out and socialize, but I was never one to get drunk. I didn't like that sensation. So maybe I had one or two cocktails and that was it. But I know people that can't stop. They can't. Once they get that alcohol in them, you just
Hmm.
got to keep going, keep going, and keep going until they're face down on the ground. Um, but while AA might stop you from like hurting yourself too bad temporarily, what is the root cause? And I don't think anyone ever really goes forward to address those things. We just prescribe medications or group meetings or whatever.
Well, that's exact. You said the perfect thing. What is the root cause?
Hmm.
Why are we doing that thing? Why are we? Why did I have a brain tumor? What what was the?
What brought
Because
that
I
up? Yeah. Hmm.
I believe that we nature is perfect. We were born kind of with the intention of perfection. Creation is perfection. What in us, or what were we born with, or the poisons in our either lineage or our behaviors or um,
or even something that's not even our fault,
Right. That.
our environment, like where you're sitting in someplace beautiful right now. I'm stuck indoors, but that's amazing that you're outside. But think about, hopefully this is not the case, but think about your surroundings. What's in proximity of where you live? Is there oil factories or warehouses, or what is a freeway, all of those things can be beyond our control and cause, I would imagine, tumors and all kinds of diseases. So,
Yeah, and that's the other thing is finding it. Getting out in nature really helped me a lot. And
mm,
Nate, you see this over and over again. As it's almost like a. It sounds cliche, but nature is healing. Nature will heal you.
absolutely. Hmm.
And I've spent a lot of time purposely getting away from people and things. And I worked in IT for 11 years, and before that, I worked in tech for a long, long time. Even as a DoD contractor, that was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And getting away from that um, was the only way that I could mentally connect with something greater than myself, because it was always um, interpreted by somebody else. It's like as a kid, you were going to church and your spirituality is interpreted by this person who is giving you the sermon, or your parents, or
Mm-hmm.
your school, or your job. Whereas getting out away from people in nature, detoxing from the world, the human
It helps. I
thing.
used to frequently go to like the wildlife refuges, or just a hike. These days, due
Yeah.
to my situation, I can't do too much alone, fear of falling. So I have to be very careful and have someone with me. But it's hard to find someone that wants to just go for a walk and make sure I can grab them in case I fall. Not
Hmm.
very many people like to go outdoors. So it sucks to not be able to just get in the car and go these days. But I try to go and sit outside at the very least. And even if the surroundings aren't the greatest, close your eyes. You'll hear the birds, focus on the wind, because that will take you where you need to be. So,
That's another thing is, oh boy, listening to the birds, even
mm,
just getting out, just sitting in sunlight and being able to listen to birds. There is, um, I believe, provable evidence that the, I mean, you can call this language of the birds if you want, but that listening just to what nature sounds are is provably healing, to your
mm,
mental health. Um, like I can hear a crow back in one of
mm,
those trees right there,
wow.
and I believe they're trying to. They've been trying to talk to us all the time. Nature
Mm,
speaks to us in a language that we are ignoring, that we are trained that that's not a language, that it's not, that nature isn't talking to you, that we're separate from it. We are it.
right. I believe that, and I think animals, even birds, whatnot, come to us when we need them the most. I lost a good friend, or so I thought that was good friend, and
Mm.
um, just a terrible situation, and grieving that friendship. A crow kept like every day I'd come out to go to my car for work, and it would just be standing there. I'm like, well, hello,
Mm.
what do you need? And so I'd drive home to work, and I'd come home, and it would be standing on my front porch. And it was funny because the friend that I had, we spoke to each other every day, and at times he was the first person I spoke to in the morning, and the evenings he was somebody like, okay, have a great night. We talked every day. So almost like felt like the crow was kind of there, like, hey, good morning, and then hey, have a great evening. Like kind of filled in that place, started looking forward to seeing the crow every day. And
Mm.
one day when I felt better and I felt healed and I wasn't hurting, he went away. Like I didn't see the crow anymore, but kind of filled in those blanks because when you get become routine with a friend, and this is what you do every day, or you talk at this time all the time, and it's over, it's ended, you feel manic in those times, like
mm,
I can't call this person anymore, I can't talk to them.
right.
So I feel like the crow filled in those blanks for a minute. Anyway, maybe I'm just crazy.
No, hey, if that's a cool thing too. I'm glad you said that too, because I'm okay with that. Like being
Yeah,
called delusional by people that don't have wonder in their life, I'm
right.
okay with that. Like these people that uh, would love to judge me for being crazy for talking to owls in the middle of the night. Well, you're just sitting, you're not even seeking. Like these family members that will judge you and
Mm,
fake friends that you know purposely make us feel crazy for the stuff that we do. We can see in their lives it reflects how they treat other people, first of all, and how they um, it reflects in their body, their own health and their own mental health. Because over the last 2 3 years, starting with, I don't know how how many things we can say on this show
I don't
that
think
without
I've
getting,
never been censored,
you
so
haven't been censored. Okay,
say it. Yeah,
not
just
yet.
say it. Yeah,
But during COVID, well, we say during COVID as if it's over, because I
right.
see
Whatever.
people, driving around
Yeah,
with masks still.
I
But
know.
um,
Forever
when
traumatized by that.
yes, and that's the thing, is that
Mhm.
was the point. If we haven't seen that, that's not the point of this, to
I have
traumatize us.
I have my own theory though, and I don't know if you want to hear it, but I've been telling people this.
Sure, please. I
Everybody
want
kind
to
of
hear
like
exactly what you
goes,
hear.
"Huh." Okay, my theory is it was a fire drill.
Mm,
So think about perspective. We had not had a pandemic since when? The Spanish flu? That was the
mm,
1900s. So in the day of technology and where we are, electronics, whatnot, how would we know how to respond to a pandemic if it truly happened? So why not take something like the flu and create a pandemic? And we truly learned, we did, how to work at home, how to use technology. I believe it was a fire drill. I believe
mm,
they needed to make a model of how to respond in the event that it did truly happen. Because I mean, COVID's a flu. I actually got it. I was terrified. I'm diabetic. I have serious health conditions. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die.
mm,
I was on the couch for 3 days. I ended up being hospitalized for a short time, but then I was
mm,
back home and I was fine. Like it was like a 5 day period. Scary for a minute, but I think they wanted to hospitalize me to monitor, and I was fine. Sent me home, and I recovered. So, I mean, I feel like it was a fire drill for
mm.
our government or whoever's running stuff. Really,
Yeah, whoever's running stuff, right? Exactly.
exactly whoever's really
Uh,
running.
right. Um, yeah, that's that's always
That's just my
interesting.
theory.
But that's good. I mean, it's it definitely opened a lot of people's eyes to
So,
this
like, if I
stuff.
get snatched in the next couple days, and you're like, "Please run my campaign, Gordy," okay? But like, find Anne.
Yeah. Okay.
The government stole her.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If we don't see a post in a few days, we'll be like, "Is Ann
Yeah.
okay? Everybody, go to somebody go check."
So if this guy starts yelling, "Find Anne," you guys listen to him, okay?
Yeah. So, that's interesting. I see it going in the other direction too. It's like, um, it's so wild that, because I've been in the conspiracy circles for quite a while. I
Mm,
mean, for a long, long time, in and out, and I get sucked into like crazy crowds
rabbit
and the
holes and
crazies, and well, I lived it. I worked jobs that were government conspiracy things. I mean, I have
you
firsthand
mentioned
knowledge of those
the
things.
DOD. So give us a quick story. I mean, I know you and I had talked about that offline. So like you worked with the DOD and you said there was some crazy stories there.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, from 2004 to 2010 ish,
Mm,
I had a secret clearance. And that secret clearance will get you any number of uh, government jobs, weapons manufacturers, and you know
mm,
all the government contractors. So I did a 2 year stint at one company and another 2 year stint at another one. But each one of those jobs, I at the time it was like I thought it was just going to be a good job, a good paying job. That's why I did it. But once you get in, you're like, oh shit,
mm,
you're under an NDA, you're under
mm,
this contract where you can't say, uh, you can't even tell your family what you do. And then, so what happened was one thing that popped me out of it, of realizing what I was actually involved with, was WikiLeaks. I
oh,
saw
yeah.
some of the uh, literal war crimes that I had witnessed in my job because I had been doing stuff with a government contractor with drones
Mm,
and stuff. I had witnessed some things live, you know, many months earlier that popped up in WikiLeaks, and you're like, oh shit, that's right, I forgot.
mm,
I watched that guy get murdered. I saw those kids get killed. I saw those pilots lose their shit and become monsters instantly.
mm.
And you know, I'm like,
And,
oh
I don't know
no.
if you saw, I know you watched the last episode of my show, Vampira, but the episode prior to that, we had an author that had come on and she talked about how she had been experimented on by the government, the US military. She was involved because her father was part of those
Hmm.
experiments. He kind of gave her up to that. Very terrifying. I read her book, it's terrifying. And now she kind of still just deals with that. So, you know,
Absolutely. I listened to that, Olivia, right?
yeah,
She
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can identify with a lot of
Hmm.
different things with that. Yeah, that's a trauma that, you know, when she said, she talks about these things as kind of nonchalant, and I've done that too, where people are like, well, they don't believe you because
Right.
you but because of that, we've had to do the work. you
And
know
I think that's exactly what I was going to say is I've experienced severe trauma as well. Those of us that have experienced trauma, there's only two sides. You're either going to live in that trauma or like I say all the time, sit in your shit. You're going to just sit there.
right.
Or you're going to move forward. You're going to power through and you're going to find the tools. How can I be okay every day? How can I go be great in the world? I personally took the pain and the agony from my trauma and the anger and I made it into like this hard ball of energy and I just launched myself forward with it. And I
It's
did.
what
I
we
did
do.
a lot of strange but wonderful things in the world and I've been to a lot of places in the world and I was severe trauma in my lifetime, but again, do the work or stay in your shit. Just sit there, roll in it, you know?
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah, and either you talk about it or you disappear. Because that's what we
mhm,
do, is we isolate. And that was one of the reasons, that I feel like a lot of the health issues that I had to recover from, and the addictions. I mean, the addictions were there because I was trying to escape all the shit that was in here,
mhm, right.
because of the shit that we had been exposed to, that, like you say, weren't necessarily our fault, but some of them we chose, and we have to be
Mhm,
accountable for the decisions that we took that ended us ended up ended us up in those situations.
right,
So
right.
we have to take accountability for that part, but not everything. And if you don't take accountability for the part that you did do, you can't move on from the things that you didn't.
Mhm,
Um, but I feel like, having conversations like this, and this is one way that AA and NA has been helpful. And going through rehab, being able to talk about your traumas and doing therapy, those things have been helpful, but they aren't the answer for everything.
No,
And like we've both
you
said, that
you've
that
got to find the root cause, because
exactly.
that's what's going to cure it. That's what's going to fix it. I don't know. I think our world has gone completely out of control. I've had some good interviews with like a good friend of mine. She's a model. You can go back in the episodes Just W, and she does yoga teaching, meditation instruction. She's a model, photographer. We always talk about in real life, and then as well as when that episode, people are so angry all the
Mm,
time. Like, why are you so angry? What is it that
right.
puts you in that mode to go get in your car and someone cuts you off? So you're going to chase them down and ram your car into them. Like, what puts people there? Cussing at you in the store because you hit them with your shopping cart on accident. Like, what makes people so angry at this point? What are your thoughts?
Um, I have a lot of thoughts. I
Mm.
mean, on a kind of simple scale, I think especially that it seems like it's ramped up the last few years too
Oh
since
yeah,
COVID. Um,
absolutely.
I think the trauma of that, people are stressed and freaked out by just the trauma of
But
what's
they don't
going
know.
on.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think health wise, they've been poisoned. They've been given 1,001 vaccines that are clearly poisoning their brain too.
Mm,
They're eating processed foods that are making them more stressed out and more um,
I
less
get it.
reliable on
Yep.
themselves, um,
Right
and
there.
fearful.
Yep. The food situation itself, like I said earlier, I eat very, very healthy, nothing processed. But once in a great while, because I'm human, I want a slice of pizza or I want something really bad, right?
Of course you
So
do.
I'll do it. I have a 15-year-old, so he's like, come on, mom. So I'll do
Hmm.
it. And, I swear to God, it feels worse than a hangover the next day. I feel like
Right?
crap. And so I think when people are eating unhealthy like that constantly, they go to bed feeling full, bloated, whatever, and then they wake up feeling the same way, like they got run over. So definitely think food is a huge piece of what's happening in our world, and it's unfortunate that what's his name, Robert Kennedy, wanted to run in our elections. I don't want to get too much into politics, but I only bring him up because he had a huge platform for changing the way we eat,
Hmm.
changing the processed food. So I thought that was
I,
pretty amazing. Would have been pretty amazing to see that come
yeah.
forward.
That's funny you say that. I've kind of, I've been staying away from all that. I hate politics. I've been staying away from it.
Me
But
too.
as I've been going on and things pop up, whether you like it or not, and you're like, oh, I really should know what's going on. I agree with
Mm,
you 100%. The dude is a nature lover, snake
mm,
saver guy.
right.
I'm like, that's the dude. Why
I
we
know.
didn't do this, you
I'm
know?
I'm I'm sad that we didn't get the opportunity to see him come forward for us.
Yeah,
But hey, maybe in 4 years, you
yeah,
never
we'll
know.
see.
Maybe we'll see. So hopefully, that. But his ideas on food, processed food, are amazing. Like,
And
I
pharmaceutical companies
agreed.
and all that kind of stuff, which we could go
Yeah.
down that road too. How the
Right.
doctors are brainwashed and how the
No,
doctors keep us sicker
we can
than
go
we, you
briefly,
know.
really quick into that. Just like I've said, I'm diabetic. I've been on medication most of my life, but what I've found is that how I must handle it is diet and exercise. It's no medication is going to cure diabetes. There's nothing that's going to cure diabetes,
That's right.
but you can put the symptoms in like a remission place if you keep your weight down, keep your exercise up, keep moving. Of course, my current medical issues, I can't do that too much, but I've found other ways. But going through different doctors, they will try and prescribe and prescribe and prescribe. And I would be on a medication for diabetes for like 6 months to a year. Finally adapted to this, the what is it, side effects, be okay, and then I'd go in, He'd say, okay, everything looks really great. Your numbers look great, but I'm going to go ahead and switch you medications.
Right.
Why? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Now I'm going to have to take 2 weeks off work because I'm going to throw up constantly or I'm going to feel like crap because of the side effects. Why are you changing me? Well, I just think it's time. But why? If my numbers are good and everything's good, why? I've argued and left doctors for that purpose because they want to
Mm-hmm.
change medications. My suspicion is that they get kickbacks for prescribing certain
Oh, they
types.
do. They do for
Right.
sure.
And so like your money is more important than my overall well-being because now the side effects to diabetes medications are horrific. Horrific. Nausea, vomiting. I won't go into the rest of it, but you get the
Uh,
idea.
I do.
Dizziness, like it's horrible. So if you've adapted to one medication, you definitely don't want to go on another one, and have to start that all over again. So, but again, that's where our world is, where our doctors are, where pharmaceutical companies and their paychecks mean more than we do as humans. So,
Yeah, and to find out that the doctors don't actually have to take the Hippocratic Oath anymore, and they purposely do
mhm,
not because of that. That's
yeah,
if that hasn't isn't disturbing to everybody, I don't understand.
I
But
agree.
um,
The world is just, I mean, education is dying. It's not even, people can go on social media and make a living for themselves. I can make this much money just showing my body on the internet, and nobody's thinking I should go to college. I should get educated. That's not even a thing anymore. Most people just don't do that. So
well,
I'm not
and
surprised.
and the education isn't actually helping
Not
the
anymore.
the
Not the
the
type of education.
institutionalized education anyway. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
going to find the weirdo living on the mountain has been so much more helpful to
Mhm.
me. Finding a shamanic mentor to
Right.
me has helped me enormously. But
But
going to
a
the
college,
U of A
yeah.
sucked. It was just dogma brainwashing
Mhm. At
that
this point,
doesn't help
though,
anybody.
at this point, unfortunately, you're going to stop seeing those wise shamans and wise people because this new generation, I think it's going to end with our generation, where we are in life. I think it's going to end there, the wisdom, because the generations that are coming out now are embracing total chaos. They're
Mm,
just not concerned with wisdom, things of the past. If we
mhm.
don't tell them, then they don't know. And so I think that's the spirituality in the world is going to die pretty much. I think we're just headed to a bad place.
Well, I kind of think it's already died, and I think it's kind of coming back. I'm seeing, I'm hopeful that, uh, I mean, with you and I talking about this, we're not the only ones that are just organically just popping up. Like, I just, we started talking because I saw a meme that said, "How would, what was it? If I made a spell, how would I summon you, or whatever?"
Oh,
And I
yeah.
said, "Rosemary, butter, and steak." And with the rosemary, that's a real thing. I burn rosemary. I have rosemary
Right.
oil. I've always been called to that.
I like the
Um,
smell. Yeah.
and but that's a real thing. But also butter, is healing to your brain, your all of our nervous system is sheathed in a fascia that is made of cholesterol, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't heal those synapses in your brain. And this is what I tell addicts, that are coming back from trying to heal their brain of you know years of alcohol abuse, which wet brain is those damaged synapses. um, is you got to get off all the sugar and carbs and get on a high fat diet, or else you can't, your
Yeah.
brain will not heal those.
Mm-hmm.
Neuroplasticity is a real thing. You can retrain your brain, but you cannot do it on a starving system.
Mm-hmm.
Your body will keep eating itself if you keep feeding it processed food and garbage. So I didn't mean this to go into a diet interview,
It's okay, but it's all
but
about healing, and that's
it's
that's
about
what
healing. Exactly. Thank you.
that's what you're. And I'm definitely going to have you back many times. So we'll talk about all the different topics. But this one just happened to go into healing a little bit more. So, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I think that's what people need to hear. Stop eating the
Right.
junk. Stop being angry. Stop feeling the way you do. Stop putting toxic things in your body. Before these toxic things were present, um, we know that people were living a lot longer than we are nowadays because there wasn't any processed foods and people were living and eating very more organically versus what's happening now. I mean, so
Yeah, and that's the kicker right there is that I so once I got off all that stuff, I lost 100 pounds. All my chemistry leveled out. Um, my depression went away. Uh, my uh, addiction symptoms immediately went away.
mhm.
These are things you can do. There is hope. That's that's the point. Is there is hope for us, and we
Right.
don't have to live this way if we
No.
don't want to. We can
And
choose
again,
better for ourselves.
again, I don't think ever anything went away. I think the symptoms subside because I think,
Exactly. Thank you.
I don't know, like addicts, I don't think that's a cure. There's a cure for some kind of addictions, but there are ways to combat it and defy those symptoms, push them away. And healthy living and working at it, putting that effort into every day is what changes everything.
Hmm.
So, but I think that's the problem. Nobody wants to work. No one wants to do any work, whether it's going to work for a paycheck or working on your body or your mind or your soul. Nobody wants to do it.
Well, they'd rather go work for a paycheck, but they don't want to. They'll work for somebody else, but they don't want to work on themselves.
Mm,
Like
I don't
you're the
know.
job.
I don't know. My current day job, I see people that don't even want to work for the
Yeah.
paycheck. Like so, like how do you want to? How do you think you're going to live if you?
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, there's people that are just harming themselves daily, and I guess maybe it's just easy to do these days. It's
Hmm.
easier than putting the work into yourself.
Right.
Um, but anyway, so mysticism and healing are your forte here. And to reiterate to the audience, it's mostly due to his past traumas that he has overcome on his own. Just kind of putting that out there that you can also do the same, you know. Um,
Let me
let's see.
show you
Uh-huh.
one quick cool thing of why I chose this tree is
Mm.
because there's a whole bunch of bones underneath this tree, which
Oh,
shows
wow.
me that there's just tons of them everywhere. And
Wow.
if you look under a lot of trees around, if there's whitewash and little bones like this, it probably means there's owls here somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
And
because mm,
yeah, because they hawk up their
yep,
the
the bones and
pellets,
stuff. Yeah.
and yeah, so
How
magic
neat.
is everywhere
Do you
if you're
think
willing
that?
to look at it.
Yeah. Do you think that owls particularly are maybe like drawn to you? Do you think? I think crows are drawn to me, but I think
Hmm.
maybe is it possible?
Oh, they are now. I've proven it to myself over and over again. I thought it was just me being attached and getting obsessive about the one family that I got close to in um, when I where I used to work. But after I quit that job, I moved to another area that had another family of owls I got really close to. I came out to another area of Arizona where they found me here. You know, they wake me up at 4:30 in the morning, and you. The other thing is you have to be willing to be available to the mystic, to whatever is calling you. You know, if you hear it, you have to go out. You have to do the work to meet it too. You
Have it
know,
be drawn to you? Yeah. You think with a messy or chaotic mind or life, nothing is going to be drawn to you but chaos. So, and I
right?
think nature, animals, birds, whatnot, they need peace to be drawn to you. I mean, think about a
Right.
deer. If you're running through the forest and yelling like a maniac, a deer is going to run from you. If you're sitting at a tree quietly, maybe meditating, it perhaps could approach you. So,
And they will. If you're chill and you just allow, and it's like being afraid of a dog, a, when you're afraid of a pit bull, the pit bull's going to attack, because they feel that fear. Um, when owls are very aggressive, especially great horns. They're the
mm,
second most aggressive in the world, especially in North America. But the only human death by a bird of prey is from a great horned owl that will hunters purposely knock hunters out of
wow.
tree blinds, um,
Mm,
and that's been documented more than once. So they are killers, but they will also have talons, knives for feet, essentially, that will scalp you, and they're not afraid to do it because they know they at a certain point they're completely silent. Um, they they can cut you down to your bone. They can snap off the head of a rabbit with one snap and eat it
wow.
instantly. So they are the superior. They have superpowers that they can hear things you can't. They can see things you can't. They can see in the UV realm. They can hear things that the
Mm,
human ear will never be able to possibly hear. Um, just just understanding that they have 500 square 500 pounds per square inch in their feet.
wow.
So they have essentially the power of a pit bull bite in their knife hands.
Mm,
So you don't want to fuck with a
right
great
now.
horned owl.
But they're not
Um,
predatory. They're probably just a defense,
it's
right?
all defense. It's all defense. And if you're
Mm,
chill with them, they are chill with you. And if you
mm,
can demonstrate trust between those, I've studied falconry since getting close to the owls, and there is this trust that you have to uh, build with a bird of prey. And once you have built that trust and you can chill out and live with them, and once they understand
mm,
that they can trust you, you're in good, pretty much forever, essentially, um, until you break that trust. Once you steal that
mm,
food, just like any other uh, relationship that we have with other people,
right.
we establish trust. I break that trust with Anne's not going to trust me again. If I come on here and lie to her and she finds out that this asshole just made up the
He's
story
talking about
about
how he eats so healthy, but I saw a video of him eating 4 cheeseburgers.
well, and
I know, I'm
I
just
will
joking.
no, but if I do that, I have gone online and drank a
Right.
soda.
Right.
That
No, I get
should
it.
be
We
okay.
are human. Like I said
We are
earlier,
human,
at
right?
times I break my diet. I do what I need to do, but it's okay to enjoy things once in a while. But overall, I think we try to achieve a healthy lifestyle. It doesn't mean that you can't once in a while have some candy or pizza or a soda. It just means, for the most part, we attempt to live a very healthy life.
Hmm.
So, yeah. But I get what
Right,
you're saying, betrayal. And I think that uh, going back to my thing, sitting in your shit, relationships, people, whether it's friendships or personal, romantic relationships.
right.
Nowadays, I feel like people have gotten into that cycle of they get out of one bad relationship and then they go into another, and over and over and over. And I feel strongly it's because they haven't put the work into themselves. They keep
Hmm.
attracting the same type of person, and creating the same type of reality.
We do. We repeat those family curses, the things we learned from our parents, the poor patterns that they taught us, and we taught ourselves by like those relationships can be addictions, you know.
I believe that. Uh-huh. And I think
We
that, go ahead.
we seek out the validation that we shouldn't have to seek outside of ourselves. We need to be able to figure out how we can seek that validation within ourselves rather than externally.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, we
And
at a certain point we need that encouragement from another
mm,
person, but when it
we got to be
becomes
able to
that
do it ourselves too, though.
that
Gotta be
escape,
able to.
right, right.
My perfect example, and I always say this to people that they're going through bad relationships or whatnot. Remember the beginning of a relationship, how amazing, and you feel like you're floating, and it's
Hmm.
so amazing. You just feel
Euphoria,
euphoric, right? It's just,
like a
um,
drug.
yeah, that feeling. Try to make it for yourself without another
Hmm.
person. And
Right.
I think I accomplished that. I did. I found a way to just make myself happy like that. Find it,
Mm.
whatever it is. It's meditating, walking, going shopping, whatever. Find that euphoric sensation that you would feel in the honeymoon phase or whatever you want to call it. And that's where you want to live. That's where you want to stay. Keep your mind there. Just my thought.
As you said that, I heard the crow confirm it behind me. So
My crow, he's
he
probably
agrees.
sleeping
Your
today.
your crow agrees. Yeah.
Yeah, my crow, you have visitation today. It's your day. He's visiting you. But yeah, now I think that that's the way to do it. Is then once you know how to create that happiness and that euphoric feeling for yourself, then you need to find a partner that aligns with you, that doesn't make you feel that way because you already feel that way.
Mm.
But they know how to make themselves. And so two great golden people come together. So, versus toxic people coming together.
Right. And we're living in our toxicity. That's what we're going to attract too. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
we're just going to keep repeating those same patterns over and over again. My toxicity is going to, if I'm in that anger mode, that's what I'm going to attract. Angry people.
Right. Or I think my favorite one I see a lot is people that don't have respect for themselves or value, or they look in the mirror and they're like, I'm so disgusting. So they go out and they seek people to make them feel better, but
Mm.
those people making them feel better are the same types of people. So now you got two people that won't even look in the mirror because they're just disgusted by themselves. I find that to be more common than like angry people or anything else. Two broken people coming together and break a dish and then try to put it back together, the pieces never fit. So if you take
Mm.
two broken pieces, it's never going to fit. So,
Isn't that it too? Kind of that self hatred.
mm,
When you say that, I've felt that deeply. When I was in my addictions and in my trauma, living in my trauma, repeating my traumas, it was because of that self-hatred. Well, I don't deserve better, so I
mm,
so I
mm.
seek out those traumatic
Someone that's
relationships
not,
or
yeah, someone that's not maybe physically healthy, maybe mentally healthy, and you know it, you see it, you're very
right.
aware of it. But this is all I can get because I'm not worth anymore. Versus the person that you may have had in the corner that's probably this perfect match, but you're like, oh no, I can't be with that person. I'm not good enough. So
Right.
I see that a lot. It happens a lot when people that I encounter. So
I don't deserve them or they don't
mm-hmm,
deserve me. Even
mm-hmm,
worse.
mm-hmm. But if you had just had a
But
little bit of, value in yourself and took that leap, you may have had the most amazing life.
yeah.
Things might have been perfect. But
But there's always still time, we can always
maybe.
make those changes to ourselves and
I still blame
uh,
it on the food, the food we eat.
that's that's right.
It's just
That's
the
right.
processed food.
Yep. Well,
Yeah.
it's a big part of it though. You if you value yourself enough to do the work to make that food, to not be lazy and order the pizza or the mac and cheese, which is, you know, sometimes you get that surge. You're like, oh my God, pizza sounds so good right now.
Mm.
And it would be, it's okay every once in a while, but not
If you're doing that
the
like once a week, that's
yeah,
not good
every
for
day.
you.
But that's Americans' default. This is
Mm.
what we do. We eat fast food and we eat easy. We take the
It's
easy
funny,
ways out,
most other countries don't eat like that.
right?
They don't. It's strange that we are the only ones that do. So, a lot of our chemicals and processed foods aren't even allowed in some countries. So, very strange how we see it as something that's okay. So,
But the companies here encourage it, whereas, yeah, like even Fruit Loops are illegal. The way our Fruit Loops are made here are completely different than they're illegal in Canada.
yeah,
Red Bull is illegal in Europe, except that it's from Europe and they exported it to us.
of course they did. They're like, we'll send it to America. They'll eat
Yeah,
it. They'll take it.
they'll suck it
Yeah,
down. Yeah,
yeah.
sell it to the IT guys. They'll love that
Right,
shit.
they're right. Yep. And I do think that a lot of the other countries look at us and they mock us, they're laughing at us, and that's a perfect example. Yeah, they won't drink it, they won't give it to their people, but give it to America, they'll do it. It's fine. Give it to the
Mm-hmm.
US, We're the laughing stock. We're the only ones that haven't gotten a clue yet over here for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But we chose it. At a certain point,
mhm,
I heard, maybe it was Olivia talking about the aliens getting permission because we farmed out our decision making to our politicians.
mhm. I think it was her,
That
yeah.
was it her? Yeah, that really hit home to me. I was like, wow, that
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. I I have these groups on Telegram, and we meet at least every Monday night, but we'll try and meet throughout the weeks. It's kind of a support group for ourselves, and we were talking about that we farm out all these decision making to other people so that we don't have to be feel guilty for the bullshit that we do to ourselves. You
Mhm.
know,
We have somebody to
it's like,
blame.
yeah, it's the politicians. You made that decision to farm out that decision to that guy.
Mhm.
Like it is also ultimately
So,
your
at the end
decision,
of the day, a politician didn't tell you to go eat a whole pizza.
right?
He also didn't say that you couldn't grow a garden in your backyard. So
Mm-hmm.
you could. It's a decision that we make. Most people, especially right now, because we're in the political, presidential election year. I can't think. I block the politics out.
Right.
um,
I do
but
too.
basically, I hear it even more so now. You see it all over social media. People are blaming the government and blaming politicians. And this is why I don't have any money. But are you sure? Because you go to work every day. And if you think about it. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but let's just say you go to work and you make $40,000 a year times that until you're 62, when that's usually the age of people retire. How much money is that? You're actually technically going to be a millionaire in your lifetime if you make an
Mm.
average wage. What did you do with your money? So you can blame inflation and all this and that. There is some truth to that. But how much truth is it? Did you really need to buy junk food every night of the week? Could you have grown some of your own food? I mean,
Mhm.
there's ways to conserve the money that we make. It's a choice that we're making. But again, blaming politicians is, I think, become a pastime for Americans.
And we always take the easy way out.
Mhm.
We have a reason. We have a poor reputation as being the lazy rich folks.
We are though,
Lazy
and I mean, maybe not you and myself, but I'm going to do the math right now. I have to know
in the
$40,000 times. Let's see, you don't actually work 62 years, so you work maybe 40 years roughly in your life. No, maybe more. So like if you start working at 18, um, 10, 20, let's just say 30 years you work, right? $40,000 a year. Oops, times 30 years. That is 1 million. I don't know if you can see that. Whoop. I got rid of it there. That number. If you work for 30 years making $40,000 a year, that's $1 million.
$1.2 million.
Mm-hmm. So what are we doing with our money? Yes,
Yeah.
again, inflation is there, cost of living is there, but what are you doing to conserve your own money? Like the government isn't in charge of your household; they can't even run our country. So
Well,
don't
what are
leave
we
them
doing with our
responsible.
what are we
Yeah.
doing with our time? More
Hmm.
importantly,
Sitting on the couch eating junk food, watching tons of TV that's zapping our brains, and
that you've
that's
probably seen a
basically.
million times.
Hmm. And so, yeah, like if you've made it, people always say, I want to be a millionaire. Well, you will be by the time you retire if you work a job for 30 years.
Mm,
So, what are you really doing with that money? Investing it and changing your habits, not just eating, but overall mental health. I think
hmm
that's what people need to do these days. Instead of blaming it all on the government or aliens, or I'm pretty sure if aliens invade, humans are going to blame it on them. It's their fault. I'm fat. I'm broke. It's the aliens' fault. So yeah.
Yeah, it's always somebody else's fault. That
Mm-hmm.
is the problem. Is it's always the other's fault, and we don't take
Mm-hmm.
that accountability that it's of the things
Mm-hmm.
that we chose. It's just
Yep.
like, if we believe in, a lot of us believe in, or have evidence of past lives or reincarnation, that at a certain point, you know, if our souls are eternal, we did choose this.
Yeah,
We
we did.
did
That's what
choose
they
the
say.
bullshit that we are living in,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody can say, well, there's no way I would have chosen this kind of trauma. But maybe, if it is a game, say it's a game,
Mm-hmm.
in the so in this simulation theory, that people love to bring up, because since Matrix happened, everybody
Right.
thinks that the Gnostic idea of the simulation theory, is a new idea. It's not.
No.
Um, but if this is a game, and we were to choose to play the game, and you've gotten good at the game, you've done it a few times, you're like, well, I'm gonna play it on hard, and I'm going to choose the hardest level, and
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only way that I'm going to get the hell out of this thing and finish the game and win. Well, I'm gonna push all the button, push everything to the hard,
Mm-hmm. And I'm
and
positive
I'm going to
if.
be incarnated at the
Mhm.
hardest time, which is probably now, if we haven't figured out this
Mhm.
clown show
Oh
isn't
yeah,
isn't as hard as
easy time. In the
it's going to
50s,
get.
the 20s, there was difficulty, but not like what we see today. So, and I
Mm,
definitely agree with you. I think if I had any bit of the personality that I do now, I was up there like, yep, I want the hardest challenge ever, and I'm gonna beat it. Um,
mhm.
but now looking back, like if that's really the case, I don't know why I did that.
You're
It's
like,
been rough.
fuck,
I know,
I'm
right?
regretting this now.
Is there a cheat code?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
X9777,
Right.
up, down, left, right, left, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
But there
guys,
is
if
no
you
cheat
see me
codes. We
going
have to
like
figure it
up
out.
down, like if you see me doing that, then I'm trying
Yeah.
to cheat code
Uh.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree, and I think we should come back with a whole second episode. I think. What do you guys think? Bring Gordy on here again, and we'll talk about reincarnation and aliens. My favorite topic ever. I love to talk about aliens.
We can do
Hoping that
that
they'll
for
come
sure.
get me. Like I want to be friends with them. I want to go out for a ride on their spaceship and have some fun. So
We can definitely talk alien, all of that stuff.
yeah,
All of that stuff.
I think
I would love to.
come back soon. Hopefully it's October, so bring back another episode of some spooky, weird stuff like that, and maybe even talk about paranormal experiences. We just touched on reincarnation, so maybe we'll get into a little bit more of that in a second episode. So,
Southeast Arizona is full of ghosts
ooh,
for
okay.
sure. We
Well,
can talk about that forever
send some stories
too.
my way. I'll do one of the
All right.
episodes. But we're getting at the hour mark, so let's wrap this up. And again, I'm going to throw on, we're already past the hour mark, I guess. Throw this on the screen for viewers. You can go over to Instagram and follow him and watch his movements in the world and see all the fun stuff he posts. And we'll definitely have him back on, hopefully soon. So I think I just want to hear your perspective on aliens because I always bring up
Cool.
aliens with
Definitely.
all the guests. I
Hey,
love it.
I love this because I get in trouble too with both sides because
Mm,
I think a lot of alien stuff is also mind control, and I believe that aliens are also real. So,
I
um,
agree. You know, I have some
so
weird perspectives as well.
I love to go
Yeah.
into that anytime you want to do it. Just let me know because I'm down.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, follow me on Instagram. Also, if you want to talk about recovery stuff, anybody who wants to contact me, um, silence is calling you at Gmail. You
mm,
can email me anytime or my Instagram
and
HG Traverser.
I'll have this up, the video up on our website on explainrealms.com, and I will put his contact information there so that if someone is in recovery and does want to reach out, he's, I think, a phenomenal person, would stand there by your side loyally. So, um, for now, we'll be back soon. I promise. I'll bring him back because this was fun. So, all right, say
Awesome.
bye for
Thank you,
now.
Ann.
You're welcome.